I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. And this is Currents.
America's first Haitian bishop like you've never heard him. Bishop Guy Sansaricq tells his story. Lino Rulli has a big catch. He sits down with one of the most popular Catholic bloggers.
Most days I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. It's whatever comes to my mind in the morning in terms of the news.
And how to have a successful marriage from couples with years of experience.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. As we continue to mark Black History Month, we wanted to take a bit of a closer look at somebody who has made some history of his own, not just here in Brooklyn, but in the whole United States. He's Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop Guy Sansaricq.
He's been a familiar presence here on Currents as well, offering his insight and analysis on the still unfolding crisis in Haiti. And that's a place that Bishop Guy knows very well. He was actually born and raised in Haiti and was ordained a priest in Port-au-Prince before coming to this country.
In 2006, he was then ordained a bishop, becoming the first Haitian-American bishop in U.S. history. Not long ago, he sat down to talk more about his life, his work, and his homeland.
One day I went to school, and I still remember the date. That was January 7, probably 1948. And a young friend of mine, a classmate, came to me and told me, "Guy, you must be a priest." I was surprised by his call and told him that this was not my intention. But he persisted for 3 days, really coming to me after every class and in the morning, early in the morning before school opened, and at 5 after school hours. After 3 days, in a way, he defeated most of my arguments, and I consented. And at that point, I felt a great joy in my heart, such as I think I have never experienced for the rest of my life. By that time, I became 18, and they offered me a scholarship to go to study philosophy and theology in Canada. So I was finally ordained in the year 1960 when I went back to Haiti to practice to be a priest in Haiti. When I came back to Haiti as an adult, it was a discovery of this population, of the goodwill of that population, but also a population torn by misery and by hardships. That was also the year when Duvalier was the president of Haiti, and there was oppression then. I remember once I preached a sermon, and one of the supporters of Duvalier came and made a threat to me because I had said things that he thought was not supportive of the policies of Duvalier. And some years later, there was a massacre of some members of my family for no good reason. And I think that had I stayed in Haiti, I probably would have been a victim of that very bloody regime. When that happened, it certainly shocked me, it gave me great pain, but did not in any way or manner diminish my zeal in my mission. I continued to work as if nothing had happened, but of course it caused me great pain. So I went to Rome for 3 years with the intent of returning to Haiti at the end of my studies in Rome. But the same government was still there. And this is why I finally came to the United States. When I was called to be a bishop, it came to me as a total surprise because this was totally unexpected. Anyway, when the bishop asked me, are you saying yes or no? I hesitated, and then I said, I have no choice. I have to say yes because it's a a recognition of the presence in this diocese of a large number of immigrants of African ancestry, and of immigrants of every other background. And I see it as an opportunity to be of greater service to the church. And I picked as my motto the word simply faithful servant, because this has been the history of my life. I have always wanted to be a servant of the Lord, and a faithful servant, one who is faithful to the teachings of Jesus, to the message of Jesus, and one who knows that his power and his efficiency flows only from one source, from his communion and his commitment or his covenant with the Lord Jesus.
That is Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop Guy Sansaricq, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from him in the weeks and months to come as Haiti continues to be in the news.
For sure. Well, there's much more current straight ahead, including a profile of one of the most influential people at the Vatican, and it's a woman. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, love and marriage. I'll take you to a really nice celebration of both. But first, some other news. Last month, the Vatican named a woman to one of the very highest offices in the Catholic Church. Who is she? And what does she do? You might be surprised. Some answers tonight from Rome Reports.
The Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace has become the first Vatican office in which a lay woman holds a high position. Flaminia Giovanelli is number 3 in command at the Pontifical Council, where she's worked for more than 35 years. She's an expert on economics and political science. Giovanelli says although there aren't many women who hold high positions at the Vatican, women play a big part at the Vatican.
I've always had the confidence to speak my mind, knowing my opinion will be listened to and will count.
20% of the employees at the Vatican are women, but in the halls of this Pontifical Council, the male-female ratio is almost equal. That's why some see the appointment as an example of the Pope's efforts to increase the presence of women inside the Vatican. Flaminia Giovanelli says women are good educators of peace, and they complement the vision of men.
Women represent the practical side of theories. Thanks to theories, we can get to the practical side of things and make the best out of the results.
Giovanelli was raised in Brussels and speaks 4 languages. She's currently researching how to disseminate Benedict XVI's encyclical, Charity and Truth. She's also working on collecting documents from the past 40 years on what the Church has done for peace.
This could be a way of inviting young people to get involved, to promote justice and peace, and to care for humanity.
Backed by years of experience, Giovanelli is taking on this new job with enthusiasm, a job that in some ways symbolizes the role of all women at the Vatican.
Well, turning now to Haiti. As that island nation struggles with thousands of abandoned children, some are taking a look back at the biggest child exodus in history. As the start of Fidel Castro's revolution, terrified parents shipped 14,000 kids to the United States. Operation Peter Pan was coordinated by the Catholic Church and backed by Washington. It took years for parents to get U.S. visas and permission to leave Cuba. And some never made it, as CNN's Shasta Darlington reports from Cuba.
Marina Ochoa keeps just a handful of photos of her little brother. As a baby, a successful banker in Miami, and as a 7-year-old boy about to be airlifted out of Cuba. That was the last time she ever saw him.
I went to the airport to see him off.
Her brother Frank was one of 14,000 Cuban children quietly sent to the United States between 1960 and 62. Their parents were terrified Fidel Castro would strip them of parental authority and ship their kids off to Soviet work camps. Fears that deepened when the state nationalized industries and confiscated private property.
Our parents thought they would soon join my brother or that this government wouldn't last. My father thought, Americans won't put up with this radical revolution.
The clandestine program came to be known as Operation Peter Pan. It was backed by Washington and coordinated by the Catholic Church. They helped kids get U.S. visas and, once in America, find family, foster homes, or orphanages. But things didn't play out as expected. Fidel Castro wasn't ousted. With the Cuban Missile Crisis, relations between Havana and Washington broke off completely, making travel and even communication almost impossible. Latin pop star Willie Chirino and Florida Senator Mel Martinez are perhaps the best known of the Peter Pan kids.
We are on the grounds of what used to be the Sacred Heart School of Havana.
Sylvia Wilhelm was airlifted out when she was just 14.
I think at the end of the day, we were pawns of a political game between two powers. It took many, many trips.
Her parents managed to get coveted U.S. visas a year later and moved to Florida. But it took years for other families to be reunited, and 20% of the children never saw their parents again.
When you're talking about 14,000 children, 20% is a very large number.
Right. Ochoa's brother Frank drifted from home to home, and his family eventually gave up trying to join him. In 1993, Frank died. He was only in his 30s. Politics still divide the countries, but many families touched by Operation Peter Pan have started to reach out to people and places they thought they had lost.
Well, that is CNN's Shasta Darlington.
Well, don't go away. Currents continues right after this.
Just ahead, he's the Loggia Whisperer. But tonight, this Catholic blogger has a normal conversation with our Lino Rulli.
And I don't want to sound like Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob
Strike back.
What is the internet?
Welcome back. Well, the past few years have seen an explosion in the Catholic blog sphere, with hundreds of new websites and blogs catering to just about every imaginable interest.
That's right. The granddaddy of them all, though, is Whispers in the Loggia. Over the last 5 years, it's grown into one of the most widely read Catholic blogs in the world, with nearly 13 million visits so far.
In just 5 years, and it's all the brainchild of one enterprising young Philadelphian, a 27-year-old writer and Vatican watcher named Rocco Palmo. Recently, he ventured up to Brooklyn to hoist a few with our own Lino Rulli.
A lot of fun there. The two, of course, caught up on all things Catholic, and that's why he's Lino Rulli's Catch of the Day.
Rock?
Chandani?
Chantani.
So good
Salute.
to see you.
This is a nice way to start an interview, huh?
10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, I can't complain.
Whispers in the Loggia. We're not going to whisper through this whole thing. What's the deal? For those who don't even know what it is, what would Whispers in the Loggia be? What do you want it to be?
Well, most days I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you, Lance. It's whatever comes to my mind in the morning, in terms of the news. I saw church communications kind of, either talking over people's heads or just not getting the whole story, or just kind of putting out like a PR spin, And so I saw that there was a way of doing it that could really just inspire respect and credibility. But I had none of that in mind when I sat down on the page and sat down at my computer one day and started doing a blog. It was just a way of getting all this stuff out of my head and, all this kind of what I thought was useless information. And then 5 months later, I found that, people were passing the address around, what the hell? And my first instinct was, I gotta kill this thing. I gotta get rid of it.
So the first thing you're writing, you're writing on a blog, and I don't want to sound like Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob Strike back. What is the internet? But no, why did you start a blog? Why would you start a blog doing things like, here's what's going on in the church? Why would, you've got it in your head, here's what's going on.
I had it in my head, and I had 3 friends who I talked to every day. Who were all religion journalists, and I would just, they would call me and ask me about things that they had heard, and I would call them and kind of compare notes with things I had heard. And then I just said, okay, well, this is going to save me a lot of time so I don't have to talk to the 3 of you each day. And they're the only people I've ever given the address to. Everything that followed was word of mouth, and it's developed, it's grown, it's become something much bigger than me, partially because somebody's got to pay the bills, and God knows I can't do that on my own. So
you can't make money on it. You're writing a blog about the church. I mean, people who work for the church barely make any money.
Yeah.
How are you going to make money writing a blog about church stuff?
Well, Basically, I'm like any parish. I pass the plate, you know.
But you do it through the internet.
Well, do it through the internet, exactly, and which means, you know, the fact that I get any response is good because, you know, normally people feel guilt trip when you see them, and then when you don't see them, they're like, oh, I can hide, you know. But I mean, the only reason it's been able to keep going this long, just over 5 years, 20 million hits, like 13 million unique visitors, something like that.
All right, let me pick up on one of those numbers. All right, 5 years ago, how old were you?
I was 21.
Like every 21-year-old, you wanted to start a blog about Catholicism. And 13 million unique visitors have visited to see stuff about church.
Yeah.
And you had no intention of ever building that
I never thought it would be. It was just what interested me. And growing up and kind of, you know, seeing this amazing, what I call the wide world of church, you know, kind of thing. This tapestry of people and you know, everyone just kind of wanting to do better, wanting to be better, wanting to give more. Seeing all of that, you know, the one thing that everyone's kind of pastime, if you will, you know, I mean, being a baseball fan, I look at the box scores. Well, looking at the box scores, we kind of see who's up, who's down, what's going on, who's going here, who's going there, you know. Over time, I found that actually had something profoundly theological to it. It's that none of us can do this alone. We all need each other. We all kind of, you know, we all want to support each other and just kind of cheer each other along. And the way of doing that was kind of, you know, what's going on, you know, just kind of looking outside yourself. And, but again, that was just for the small circle in which I grew up in the church in Philadelphia. I never thought it would have this kind of global appeal to it. I mean, that'd be crazy talk. You know, I started with 3 readers, and I thought that, okay, maybe in my wildest dreams it would have 6, and not 6,000 by 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, but that's the way the days shake out. So.
Rocco and Lino there, and of course the conversation isn't over. You get these two guys together, you can't stop them from talking. We'll have more of their whispers in the tavern coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, they shot that right around here actually, and it's nice to see that they have that kind of a rapport. Only Lino. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
When we return, dinner, dancing, mass, and marriage.
Well, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so what do you have planned? Maybe dinner and a movie out, some flowers or chocolates for your sweetheart?
Well, I can't give Sophie chocolate, you know.
I know. Your date's Sophie and my date's Louisa. I know, right. It's crazy.
All the pets, you know. And even if, you know, I did have big Valentine's Day plans, they wouldn't be made this far in advance anyway. You know, we're talking like, what, 4 days now to go until Valentine's Day? So I don't plan that far in advance.
I'm going to send my mom some flowers. That I can do.
That's good enough, good enough. Well, despite the high divorce rate in the country, which is right about 50%, there are a lot of couples who are enjoying the fruits of love and marriage years and even decades after they first met one another.
It's really, really sweet. On Saturday, I had a chance to see just how dozens of really happily married couples, and you can see it in their eyes and just how they interact with one another, how they celebrated their union through the World Marriage Day Mass Dinner and Dance in Douglaston, Queens, that was organized by the Dioceses of both Brooklyn and Rockville Center. 6 couples married 10, 20, or even close to 50 years, celebrating their union and their faith.
We thank you for their long and happy marriage, for the children they have brought into the world, and for all the good they have done. When I promise to be true to you, in good times and in bad, I will love you and honor you all the days of my life.
It's easy to see they are emotionally and physically bonded. Husband and wives reaffirmed their vows at this World Marriage Day Mass and Dinner Dance at the Immaculate Conception Center.
Tonight is to celebrate marriage, celebrate the fact that we do have this gift of relationship and we can keep loving each other every day.
And celebrate they did, from pre-Valentine's Day prom pictures to dancing the night away. There are people here from all ages and all ethnicities, and one thing that they all do share in common is this. They say Worldwide Marriage Encounter has taught them one thing: to learn how to respect one another and how to communicate more effectively, and that in turn leads to deeper love.
I know I've never lived before.
Skip and Fran are celebrating 46 years together. They now facilitate marriage encounter retreat weekends.
We went on the weekend and recognized that we got married because we loved each other, not because of all the tasks we had to do. And that just turned me around, turned us toward each other.
Couples also admit that while work and family can add stress, putting each other first is key, as is staying friends. They also say while the physical nature of their relationships may change over time, that doesn't mean it deteriorates.
Sexual relationship is more than just making love. It's being responsive to each other. It's holding hands. It's looking into each other's eyes, and that you can perpetuate.
It was so nice to be there because I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends roughly my age, they're married or they're thinking about getting married, or maybe they have and it didn't work out. They're just down on it. They're just really sort of, ball and chain, whatever. Yeah. These people farthest from that. Dozens of couples happily married, looking into each other's eyes, lovingly, longingly, wanting to be with one another. Right. It's like, what a concept. And I really love the fact that they also said to me, this is the model that we can give to our children. Yeah. We can give our children the best gift of all, which is how to not only be good parents to them, but be a loving married couple to one another.
Leading by example. It's great to see because, I've had a great example of that in my own life. I mean, my parents have been married for about 40 years now. And so it's an amazing thing to see when you see two people who really do love each other and who are with each other through thick and through thin. Yeah. And for that period of time, there's something there, and in my parents' life it's true as well, that they always try to put God at the center of everything.
True, yeah, they keep God at the center. And there were people that were married 10 years, 45, 46, 47 years, a long time. And even my grandparents were married for 60 years. Yeah. But I don't know that they had the kind of marriage that these folks have, because I don't know that they had this worldwide marriage encounter. They didn't have maybe necessarily those tools at their disposal. I think they might have perhaps gone, because they were very Catholic, and they certainly went to church and talked to their priest and everything. But the fact that they have communication tools available to people, and that they have really ways of hands-on trying to get information that you need out of your partner, and then back at them about whatever's going on in your head, so that you're not trying to mind read, is really, really incredible. And it's and that's how a lot of these folks met, and that's why they really celebrated on Saturday, which was really fun while you were out there wrestling.
I know. Thank you. No, yes, it's amazing. It's a great thing to see.
It really is. It was very inspiring to me, anyway. Well, we have much more about the event and the retreats they organize on our blog, Writing the Wave, and just go to currentsny.net. And again, it's Worldwide Marriage Encounter that does these retreats, and they do them all over the U.S. and Canada, and in different languages as well. So that's it for this edition of Currents. Coming up tomorrow, I will take you to a fundraiser for those often forgotten this time of year, the hungry in Brooklyn.
Remember, though, you don't need a TV to watch us. You can always catch Currents online at currentsny.net. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Have a great night. It was just